Hi, welcome to Hyperion Hype Club. My name is McKenna and I love the Kingdom Keepers books by Ridley Pearson. Join me as we discuss this series and others published by Disney-Hyperion Books. Let's get into it. Hi everyone, welcome to this week's episode of Hyperion Hype Club. Today we are going over section 5 of Kingdom Keepers, Disney in Shadow by Ridley Pearson, covering chapters 28 through 32. If you haven't checked it out already, my review of the newest Kingdom Keepers book was released last week. That is Kingdom Keepers Inheritance Villain's Realm. So check that out if you haven't yet. As I am recording this, it's about a month before it comes out, and I'm currently enjoying a little dose from Ridley Pearson on Instagram most days. You can check that out, like his Instagram page out as well, for excerpts from the book. Oh my gosh, this chapter covers chapters 33 through 39. So let's get into chapters 33 through 39, starting with the highlights reel. The mission space button and switch code worked, and a vague message from Wayne popped up, where he seemed overly cautious the whole time. The main thing I got from it is that Finn will have to use Walt's pen, and Wanda will have maybe a wand, because he said he named her Wanda, like, for a specific reason, purpose, that kind of thing. There's also going to be a betrayal of sorts. Willa and Jess escaped from Sortmarin before the cast member there caught them. Finn and Phoebe escaped a horrible crash on test track as one vehicle tried to overtake theirs. Phoebe's quick thinking is to thank. The Keepers have regrouped and are questioning one another after learning about an impending betrayal. Finn, Phoebe, and Charlene are randomly chosen to go on a hunt for a hat, aka something to get them out of the rain that lives above their brain. They ultimately figure it to be the Sorcerer's Hat in Disney's Hollywood studios. The Keepers regroup and head back to the Wonders of Life Pavilion to attempt to rescue Wayne. Though Charlene spotted him, he was quickly moved elsewhere and left a T with a second cross, shape cross across it, I guess, further down, which appears like it's a sword crossed with an F, meaning the Keepers must use the sword at Phantasmic. Charlene escaped the Foo Lions that you can find at the China Pavilion, which I will, if you are watching the video on YouTube, I will quickly show some pictures of. So here they are. I believe it's outside the House of Good Fortune. I don't see like a cub in one of their mouths. I know that was mentioned. And then here are some closer looks at those two statues, just in case you were wondering what they look like. All right, so after Charlene escaped the Foo Lions, the boys did multiple acts of balance to escape the Wonders of Life Pavilion. Phoebe suggests that the Overtakers are targeting attractions with seatbelts, which they could use to trap guests on rides with added dangers. The Keepers, minus Maybeck and Jess, snuck onto the truck to get back to Disney's Hollywood Studios for the Phantasmic run-through. Once in studios, they figure out that Phantasmic is likely Overtaker headquarters, a defensible place where it'd be easy for them to hide, whether that, like, the Overtakers to hide, whether that's like hide, like in a, stay hidden, like behind the mysterious door or whatever, or hide in plain sight, since a lot of their characters are in the show. And then Wanda brings Maybeck and Jess backstage and gets them security and stagehand cast member costumes, respectively. And that is it for highlights reel. Moving on to random comments. Mission space pods automatically open when the ride is completed. I would think Wayne would ensure that it would still happen after his video wrapped up. Amanda shouldn't have needed to open the pod. Also, I didn't think about this in the last section, but all the pod doors would have to be closed for the ride to operate, and they're all left open at the end of the night. So the fact that they only close the pod that they go on, like, the attraction also wouldn't start, along with like Maybeck's shoe being out there and stuff that I mentioned last time. Another comment for me, Phoebe mentioned how the Overtakers are good about cleaning up after themselves, which explains why so many cast members and Disney fans are oblivious to this kind of stuff. It also explains why no one talks about cast members questioning stuff like the Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger spin vehicles in Liberty Square, since they must have been put back or something, or like put away somewhere else. And I'm thinking they might not have put them back at the attraction, at least not all of them, or at some point when they took others, they must not have, because in the first book, Wayne does say that some of the laser cars had gone missing prior to Finn's fight with the audio animatronic pirates. Like when he's kind of debriefing them in Country Bear Jamboree, this is when he shares that. And like how a lot of other stuff has been going on. That's weird. But anyway, back to this book. I think any betrayal that may happen will be accidental. Another comment, if I were part of the Overtakers deciding how to move Wayne around to different hiding places, I would probably move him to a place the keepers had already been. Like, oh, we checked this track, he's not there. Overtaker's like, let's put them in test track. Or put him in test track. Anyway, my last comment. Again, there is a walkway between Disney's Hollywood Studios and Epcot. It's always open. Nobody's probably on it before 5 a.m. and they'd probably be in shadow. I will say the point to taking the truck though is that I got them backstage, so it does help the plot, but like there are other ways between Hollywood Studios and Epcot that don't involve typical kinds of transportation, like walking's fine. There's a beautiful walking path, and it might, I don't know, if they ran, it might take them less time than the driving between the two. So I'm just saying. And they wouldn't have to worry about getting caught, but they would have to find a way through backstage security. So yeah, I think the truck was finally helpful to the plot, but just so you guys know, that walkway is there. Okay, on to random questions now. Maybeck almost puked on Mission Space. How would DHI puke work? Would it disappear from the capsule when Maybeck crossed back over and woke up in bed? Or next to his, would he wake up next to his puke? Like, I mean, that's gross, so I don't really want to think about it. But I do have a similar question regarding what would happen to the shoes and socks the keepers wore to bed that were lost throughout the night. Like, would they still have them at home? Would they disappear when they woke up? Like, what would happen? Or, like, disappear if, like, the DHI forms of them would disappear. I don't know. Or, like, if they cross back over wearing that same pair of shoes, if they would cross back over and be like, I only have one shoe or one sock or none of my shoes. If the keepers did ever get locked in the syndrome, could a Disney character with magic wake them if their bodies were brought to the parks? And I guess their bodies wouldn't have to be brought to the parks because Maleficent was like at that skate park. So like the characters can leave the parks, but maybe they're most powerful in the parks, so the magic would work better. I don't know. Just something to think about. Why do they automatically assume that what protects them from rain and lives above their brain is a hat? Why can't it be an umbrella or a myriad other things? Is it because a hat will stay on your head, whereas you can put an umbrella down? Wouldn't you take off a wet hat once you are inside or it stops raining? Like, I mean, they just went right to the hat, and only Charlene kind of questioned it. They're like, no, it's a hat. There's nothing else it could be. But it did make sense when it was the sorcerer's hat, though. Also, why go all the way to the Mission Space gift shop from the Seas? The Seas has its own gift shop, and they could have gone to the Front Park gift shops or Mouse Gear, all of which were closer to the Seas. Plus, the Mission Space gift shop is themed to space, aka there aren't any princess hats, and the type of merchandise they have is fairly limited. Also, it's also a small gift shop, so you can see almost all of it from pretty much anywhere in there. So they wouldn't really have to split up and search far and wide. Sorry if you can hear the sirens. Everything echoes in the city. I hope people are okay. Sounds like the fire truck. Okay, on to my last random question for this section. If the Wonders of Life Pavilion can be monitored and possibly controlled from its utility room, why would Philby go down there himself when there could very likely be Overtakers down there, especially if Wayne is in the pavilion? I was like, I mean, maybe the Overtakers aren't the smartest people, so, but I mean, it would be a smart move to like keep someone down there monitoring the pavilion, like instead of just having the food lines and Gigabyte on the outside. I don't know. I like to think the Overtakers aren't the smartest people, but obviously there are a lot of books in this series and its spin-offs. So they've got some brains at least. Gotta give them that. But anyway, yeah, that is it for this week's episode. The next section is our final section for this book. It is covering chapters 40 through 48, so aka the end of the book. I hope you guys are ready. We're going backstage at Fantasmic. Yay! I guess that's where stars never age either. Like, stars don't age in Great Movie Ride, if you remember my prediction from episode 2, that, like, the cryptogram clue had to do with the Great Movie Ride. But I guess stars don't really age at Fantasmic either. Like, it's still the same characters from, like, the 90s and everything. And, like, they're still the age they were in the 90s. And it's more like the character that's the star, not the person portraying the character. All right. Well, great. Now, I'm probably going to go and start reading that section right now because I'm so close to the end of that, so close to the end of Catching Fire. So I'm so close to reading Iron Flame. Less than a week from now, I'll probably be like halfway through it at least. But yeah, have a great rest of your week, guys, and I'll see you next Wednesday or right away if you're not listening to this in real time. Bye! Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode. Please remember to rate, review, subscribe, and follow. Also, please chat with me and other members of this club in the comments of the YouTube video. My other social media information and a link to the Long Distance Sisters podcast I am also part of will be below. Back in a whack!